Hey there, this is Laurie at Laurie R Creations. I'm bringing you another Dollar Tree DIY video for a framed faux wrought iron wall decoration piece that I came up with. So I used two Dollar Tree garden fences, and I actually used 1.5, so you won't need a whole full two. If you have leftover pieces from other projects, as I do, you can use those and avoid having to cut a whole nother fence to do this. I also used 4 of the 5-gallon size paint stir sticks. These are awesome for working in inexpensive wood crafting. They're a little thicker than the normal cheapy kind that you pick up at the paint store. These were at Walmart, I believe, for 3-pack for 99 cents or $1. Also, I used a couple of these Dollar Tree 32-inch long skewers. Of course, I didn't use the whole pack, but I've been using these for other projects. So it was good that I had a pack. I mean, it only cost $1 for the pack anyway. I also used sandpaper and cutting tools. In this photo, you're seeing what I used to cut my plastic fencing. The 2 garden shears that you see here, the purple and the blue, those came from Dollar Tree and they work great at cutting the fencing. Also have on hand a pair of sturdy scissors as well. These are the paints that I used to do this project. They're all a chalky kind of paint, and I used white, brown, and black. As you'll see, I did 2 different colors, so that's why there's 3 different color paints here. Also have on hand a saw, ruler, pencil, hot glue gun, and you wouldn't believe, but a water bottle cap too, just a regular water bottle. First step is I cut the narrowed ends off of the paint sticks. Make sure they're all evenly cut so that you have the same length of stick for each one of the 4 sticks. Now this step is optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want a miter cut. You can just use a block like just a regular square edge for your piece, but I wanted a mitered edge. So what I did was I laid out and marked my mitered corners on both ends of each paint stir stick. So if you'd rather not, like I said, you don't have to do this step. You can just keep going to the next step. For my miter edges, then I cut and sanded the edges to be smooth. As you can see in the picture to the far right, the top board there is the rough cut. And once I smoothed it out with the sandpaper, it made for a nice edge for me. When I glued the 2 edges together, it was a very clean edge to glue to. Then I used my hot glue gun and attached the miter corners together to form my frame. So now it's time to start cutting that fencing. First thing I always do is I remove the stakes, but I do save them because I have used them in other projects as well. But this one, we're going to be using these stakes. So you're going to need 4 stakes. So make the cuts as you see here. It's sort of sometimes difficult to explain to people how to cut the fencing and how many pieces of this and that. So I'm hopefully these pictures that I'm showing you will explain it a little bit better than me just cutting them from a fence in live action. This is, to me, a lot easier. You can stop the video and watch and do your cuts as I've done. Then we're going to measure and cut skewers to make a cross pattern that's going to go inside the frame. I cut one of the skewers in half and trimmed it down so that it would fit and it wouldn't like cause a raised bump in the middle. You want it to kind of be a flat, cohesive piece. Then I painted them black once I got them and sanded them. So save all your pieces, as I said, until you're finished with the project. You never know when you're going to want to add something in, like at the end of this video, I'll show you what I did. Use your second piece for any spare pieces if you need to complete this design. So now we're just going to place our design. Place your skewers inside of the frame, but don't glue them down yet. We're going to begin laying out the design, and we're going to use the largest piece of the fencing that we cut out for the main part of our design. So we're going to continue to add pieces to our project. As you can see here, I've gotten very good at hiding rough edges, and some of that is making sure that when you do your cuts across that you do them completely straight so they're not ragged. If you look at the arrow on the far left picture, the arrow that's on the inside, you can't even tell that that's not part of this big piece. And if you look at the picture in the middle, you'll see what I did. So once we have all our pieces laid out in our project, then we're going to paint the frame. Now I chose to paint my frame white, and the fencing will be black on this piece. So once my frame was painted, I then started to glue my inside pieces to this project, and I first secured the skewer pieces. Then the next thing I did was I placed the larger fence piece in, working my way inward, adding smaller pieces to my larger piece. Then using the stakes of the plastic fencing, I made sure that the cut ends were trimmed straight and glued them to the center of the project as I show here in the picture to the right. And once I did that, then I glued the bottle cap to the center, and this hides the cut ends. Now it's time to paint your fence pieces. I used the black chalk paint for mine, but once I was finished, I decided, I needed something more in my project. So I added some curly pieces to the skewers on all four skewers and painted them to blend in. So here's my black one finished, black and white. But I also wanted to show you guys some other options. I used a taupe paint, and this is the same project. I just painted it, continued to paint it darker, just to show you guys what you could do with this. So I used a taupe color paint on the frame for a different but not so stark look, and I did like a distressed taupe. I did a lot of dry brushing, added a little white to dry brush and make it look distressed. Then I thought, well, what would it look like if I did a darker color and a distressed look? So I used a dark brown, and I painted the frame brown and painted the wrought iron pieces white, and then distressed them a little bit with the same dark brown. It gave an entirely different feel to the piece. And that's all there is to it for this project. You could totally put any color combination to this, and I'm sure it would look great. You could also add a wreath or some floral to hang. This is very light. I'm only using a push pin to hang this piece of wall decor. Thank you so much for supporting me and watching my channel, and as well following me on Instagram. You guys have a great day.